Hello, good morning, and welcome to Get Out of Rap TV, the 97th of the series. What day is it today? It is the 18th of March, and it is British Sign Language Week. So, thank you to Spencer for good morning. How are you? I'm fine. So, I should do that so you can see it. It's great to be here. We're closing in on 100 shows. How is everyone doing? We're halfway through, more than halfway through March. The weather's getting a bit better. Let's start with some housekeeping, shall we? Today's show is brought to you by my partners, Alvaria, Steve, Bruce, Lewis, Roman, doing some great stuff with you guys. Better Outsourcing, Rich and the gang in Sunderland and Glasgow. And of course, the Forum, the legend that is Chris Rainsforth, Phil, Dave, Penny, Ian, everyone there. So thank you to you guys. Without you, I couldn't do anything. So thank you very much. If your comments are not showing, I'm not ignoring you. All you have to do is press refresh on LinkedIn, and hopefully they will come through to me. Now then, let's start with, shall we? I am going to give away 3 of these. The old contact center duck. There they are. Look how cool they are. All you have to do is comment duck to win one of 3 of these. I will do the draw next week. My only proviso is that you send a photo of where you have put your duck. Keep it clean. Darren, good morning, Darren. How are you doing? Good to see you. How's things? Hopefully all good. Let's start with, we always want to get to know each other a little better, don't we? So let's start with, and I thought of this morning. Catherine is here. So Catherine, well done. You are in the draw, as is Darren. Well done. Alan, good morning, sir. And Alan won the hoodie last week. Sorry, it's taken me a bit of a while, but that is out to you in the post today, which is brilliant. Neris, Neris kept me sane at an event last week. I was having a bit of a existential crisis, just about life and the industry. Oh, Steve, we had a great chat yesterday. Morning, Ducky. That counts. That's very clever, Steve. You are in the draw for sure. Yeah, we have some really good stuff coming up. That's Steve Powell from Alvaria. All in the space of outbound, proactive customer contact and engagement, such a critical area of our world, with loads more to come. Daniel is here now. Dan, check out his videos. The new consultancy that you've launched, Dan, please remind me. I don't want to mangle the name, but some really good videos. Darren, good, thanks. Been busy, which is great. How are you? Oh, here we go. I can sign. I am fine. I'm good. There we go. Thanks to Spencer. And it is British Sign Language Week this week. I have he's been great. He's been sending me videos of signs. So this is good morning. How are you? And then this is I am fine. So I have praise. Shameful but true. Yeah, you did keep me sane. We did have a good laugh, didn't we? It was very interesting. Pete, good morning. Saw you last week as well. Great chat, and also a fellow podcaster. So please do feel free to shout out your podcast here. I'm all about collaboration and sharing the good stuff. It's the same with you, Dan. If you want to share the name of your new consultancy, we've all got to stick up for each other, haven't we? Marianne, Diane, Welsh entry. Great to see you. The Welsh for duck. Hawadden. Have I said that right? And Dan, you are in the draw as well. Nick is here. Good morning. Duck, 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 goose. No geese yet, but I do. Look, there he is. There's a little fella. So 3 of those to be given away. You can tell I over ordered for the expo. Morris is here as well. Good morning, Morris. Great to see you. So the question for us to get to know each other a little bit better is, what motivates you? Alan, you're in. You're on a rich vein of form, so you'll probably win one. Alan is in the draw as well. What motivates you? I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm running the marathon. Everyone's getting really bored of it. And that obviously got me thinking about motivation. What's motivated me to get up and do the training and stick to other changes that I've made to try and make sure I can get round in one piece. But what motivates you? It was always, as a leader, something that I was really fascinated by. Daniel, is it Daniel Pink? The great book Drive, I think it's called, where you really, really find out about what truly motivates people by going a little bit deeper. So if people say money, money for what? So I think I'd love to find out what motivates you. Darren, love this one. Providing for my family is the main motivator. Yeah, that responsibility for doing something for your loved ones, and giving them the life that you really want to give them. Love that. Daniel, thank you very much. It's C-Tech Solutions. C-Tech Solutions. So do check out Daniel. If you're not following him on LinkedIn, please do. A new venture, and it would be great for us all to support each other when we're out there trying to make a difference. And that can be whether you're self-employed or employed, right? We can all help each other. Nick Holmes says, Neris Caulfield, great answer. Have I missed Neris, your one? What is yours? Because I can't see it. Marianne, this doesn't surprise me. Living. I do love that. I do love that. Well, you show up very enthusiastic on LinkedIn every single day. So I think you're doing a great job. Daniel says, paying my mortgage and not being on the street is a great motivator, but also inspiring others to not settle for mediocrity. All about the people. And Steve is of a similar vein, looking after my family and friends. And I have to say that you will have to go a long, long way to meet someone lovelier than Steve. Morris, being better than yesterday, grabbing every moment that I can. How cool is that? That is brilliant. That kind of growth mindset, being progressive. I think that is something I buy into. I don't think you can ever stop trying to be better at all kinds of things, right? Pete says, thanks for the podcast plug. Check out the Angus and Pete Show CX podcast here. And there must be a link. It's just not showing through. My answer was, says Neris, my answer was praise. It's sad but true. There's nothing wrong with that. And thank you for sharing, Neris. That's brilliant. And I think anyone that meets you and gets to listen to you talk and see your energy about how you show up is always gonna praise you. So Spencer, this is reciprocated. Martin Teasdale motivates me. I'm sure everyone will agree on this. You only ever see the best of me. The worst of me would not motivate anyone. But Spencer, I do appreciate that, and it is straight back at you. You are motivating me with your videos to my phone to do sign language. I just didn't have time to practice the other one you sent me, but I did do. How are you? How are you? I'm fine. I'm good. So baby steps, right? Alan, facilitating chances for others that I had to graft for. Isn't that brilliant, Alan? I love that. And I think that's a big part of, for me, the team leader community, right? Which is very similar to the motivation for that is to try and help people get better quicker, and not maybe not quicker, but so they don't have to make the same mistakes. And you've verbalized it far better than me, facilitating chances for others that I had to graft for. Don't forget as well, please, if you haven't already, comment duck, and you will be in with a chance to win one of these little fellas next week or on the next show. I don't think there is a show next week. I will let you all know. um, Please do also keep what motivates you coming. I just want to share something with you next, which the lovely Neris will be joining me, Barry, and is it Neris? Maybe you can help me out. Is it Nicola? But we are going to be at UCX, Unified Communication. The irony, Unified Communication Expo, in Manchester on the 2nd and 3rd of April. On Wednesday, the 2nd, I will be hosting a panel with Neris, Barry Cooper, and I've forgotten the other panelist, which is awful. I did check out her profile. She seems awesome. Contact center leader. But we will be there next Wednesday. It's a packed agenda with loads going on. Absolutely recommend, if you haven't already registered for it, it's free to attend. You can, honestly, the amount of content they've got is mind-boggling. Equally, on the end of the first day, the expo guys are going to provide a space on the stage, I imagine, for a meetup. If you do fancy meeting up for some pizza and some beers, they are affording me. Nicole, Barry's here. Thank you, mate. Nicole, yes, I was close. Oh, that's awful, though, isn't it? But thank you, Barry. My job will be to just make sure that we get to hear the awesomeness that's going to come from Neris, Barry, and Nicole. But following the panel, a couple of hours later, there is going to be a meetup where I will be providing drinks, pizza, nibbles. So if you do fancy, oh wait, Danny's there as well. Danny Wareham is going to be there. Now that is cool. I should know this as a panelist, although we haven't had our prep yet. That is my excuse. Naomi, Barry, we are mangling this. So it's Barry, Neris, Danny Wareham, and Naomi, which is going to be awesome. And Barry says, my family motivates me. I love that. Spencer says, I know what motivates you, Tottenham. Not at the moment. Not at the moment. It is the cause of Great Depression. There's always next year. Alan says, on the golf course, motivation is walking less yardage by hitting the ball in the direction I want to go. Okay, we're finally getting here. Here we go. Barry, thank you very much. Naomi Smith, contact center leader. It should be a great panel. And then once you have spent the day improving and increasing your knowledge of all things unified, connections and contact, come along to the stage and we will be having a meetup. It should be good. It'll be great to meet all of you, as many of you that I haven't already in person. Let's just get this out of the way. I'm shorter than people imagine. I did have one expo where someone just couldn't get their head around it and just spent a long time stood next to me saying, just can't get over how much shorter you are than I thought you would be. There's not much I can do about it. Spencer's in with the draw as well. So this draw will take place on the next show, the 98th. I do hope you can get up to Manchester and be part of the crew and the gang. That would be awesome. I will bring my recording equipment as well, and maybe we could get some small podcast stuff going as well. Now then, let's go to the question of the day. I mentioned that I saw Neris last week, and we were at a Cisco WebEx. It's their first AI innovation tour, and I mentioned I had a bit of an existential crisis, just not just about my role, but also about the future of our industry. One thing is certain: we are either in or heading towards probably a period of the biggest change and the speed of change, and the breadth of change that we've ever had in our industry. So you guys never fail to disappoint. So um, here is the question for the day, which is: what areas of our contact centers will undergo the most change in the next 5 years? Morris, thank you very much. You are the Tom Cruise of contact centers, Martin. Small but perfectly formed. The question mark is really important. The question mark, because that is questionable. He's a bit weird. I would say I'm definitely weird. Um, that's where the comparison ends, Morris. But thank you for the sentiment. So, what areas of our contact centers will undergo the most change in the next 5 years? Um, I will leave this to. Oh, Rachel is here. Hi, Rachel. Service. Can you elaborate, Rachel? Do you mean just customer service in general, or the delivery of service? Barry, I love this one. Our people. Do you mean that they will become more skilled, Barry, or that they're going to have to be doing different type? Their roles will change, or just how they're made up? The makeup of our teams will be far changed to what it is now. But you've Rachel and Barry, you've kicked us off with some great ones here. But you might also consider in your answers the different teams and skill sets and functions that we have in contact centers. Are there any that you think might undergo more change than others proportionately? So whether that's QA or WFM or training or recruitment, are there going to be specific areas that undergo more change than the other areas? Um, Thank you, Rachel. Rachel Schaefer says service as a whole, people, like Barry said, and the leadership supporting them. Um, Spencer Collins of Roger Voice, who you absolutely must check out, by the way. I am proud to be an ambassador, and that is because of Spencer. They are making huge changes for those people that are hard of hearing and deaf, by bringing open and making accessible things that we take for granted with an amazing bit of kit. So Spencer says, while AI takes over routine tasks, agents will transform into highly skilled customer experience specialists, focusing on complex, high empathy interactions. That seems to be the direction of travel, Spencer, doesn't it? Um, Neris says the support teams will pivot their functions totally, QM and WFM, and the number of advisors required in the UK will probably reduce by at least 50%, from 900,000 to probably under 450,000. And we chatted about this last week, didn't we? I think it would be very naive to think that there wouldn't be a change in numbers. It would be good to get your opinion on, will that reduction, so the reduced number of agents doing more complex, high empathy, urgent queries, dealing with them, do we think that we are going to fundamentally change their role and how they're remunerated? Will that rise in the same way that what we're asking them to will rise? Are we going to pay them more? Will there be more kudos attached to their role, do you think, with that reduction? And the other one there, of course, is quality monitoring and WFM. I think Neris is right to point out that these two areas may be ones to look out for having to undergo more change than any others. Spencer, seamless, hyper personalized experiences will become the norm. where customers switch between voice chat and social media without repeating themselves. That would be nice to see, wouldn't it? Because I think you would see then the drop in the rise in customer satisfaction and the drop in customer frustration if that were to happen. Barry Cooper from Moneycore, they will change as people, but they will also learn more, deal with more difficult queries. What they do and how they do it will change. That seems to be where everyone thinks we are heading, and it's no bad thing, right? We shouldn't be scared of this. Morris Pentel, as AI and other technologies become more entwined in the customer and employee experience, we will struggle to ensure the human quality and experience across all teams. What a great thing to look out for and to be mindful of. Because I guess the other thing is, are we prepared? Do we think we're ready? And your comment suggests not, Morris, and we must be, mustn't we? If we are going to make sure that we look after employees and customers in this period of change, how do we make sure that that happens? Great point. Alan says senior leaders will have to learn that AI needs to work with advisors, not work for advisors. The interaction in between, or the dynamics between where AI sits and who's responsible and where escalations go and how much senior leaders truly know about what the capabilities are and the functions are that are being picked up by AI is a massive one, Alan, isn't it? I think you're right, there's a huge gap there in knowledge. Daniel says, I love a controversial opinion. I think contact centers will start to recognize that layering tech on broken processes doesn't work. They will start reinvesting in proper people training to actually understand why they're doing what they're doing. I love that. It's one of the things that you can't. It seems to me that there's a contrast at the moment. There is a hell of a lot of investment in technology. We don't seem to be talking about the equivalent investment in training people, because one without the other just doesn't work. So I love that, Daniel. I don't necessarily think it's controversial. Pete, AI is driving change, good and bad. What do you think of teleperformance using AI to neutralize Indian accents in real time? Here's an article about it. I shared that when that first came out, Pete, in the team leader community. I shared that very article and I said to the team leaders in that community, I was unsure how I felt about that. Instinctively, it made me feel a bit icky. I don't know whether it was this kind of, was it colonialism? It felt a little bit wrong, but equally, if this was to help service and customers responded better, then is it a bad thing? I tell you who did consideration of this far more justice than me is Danny Wareham. So he writes a long piece every Sunday. And if you go to his profile, once he saw this article posted in the team leader community, he took that and he wrote an article about it from a psychology point of view. He's a psychologist. And that is fascinating. And it does it far more justice than I ever could, because I'm confused. Instinctively I don't like it, but I couldn't tell you why. Oh, Danny is here. I've just been bigging you up, Danny. Agents will move beyond repetitive tasks to focus on meaningful problem solving, critical thinking, and personalized customer care. Contact center roles will evolve into more strategic, high value positions that enhance the overall customer experience. Yes, it's like yes, Spencer. Yes, and I think we massively need to invest and make sure we are not only remunerating people correctly if we're asking them to do this, but we're curating their day so that they can do this. Danny says sentiment analysis will change the way we approach quality. Yes, and I think it's already doing that. Been having some great chats with Pete Dunn about this. He is the man with his finger on the pulse of all things quality, and he has some really interesting views on this. Danny, I don't know if you heard, if you joined, the article you wrote, not this Sunday's, but the Sunday before, around teleperformance that neutralizing Indian accents for Western customers. I wondered if you wanted to share the link here, because it is a great read, as are all of yours, but that's in particular. Nick, recruitment and onboarding. I'm glad you've mentioned this. Thank you, Nick Home. Recruitment and onboarding. As AI systems continue to develop and change, the roles our employees face, the preparation prior to using this will improve. I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's great. We've got to think about our recruitment and onboarding, don't we, Nick? If we're the environment that people are joining and the tasks that we're asking them to do are changing. Couldn't agree more. Neris says, Pete Brown, I think it's a positive application. I've worked with the developers. Oh, interesting. Inside knowledge, Neris. And whilst I understand Danny's article completely, the reality is it's a transactional relationship, and you create a breakdown in rapport through having to ask someone to repeat themselves. Yes, that's true. I do wonder though, where does this end? Do we change our regional accents? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Isn't part of the, yeah, it can be frustrating, but isn't part of the beauty when you're contacting people that you might be contacting someone in Glasgow and someone else around the world. It's a very interesting subject. I've started a debate on my profile this morning on the Tech CX piece, some interesting viewpoints. So everyone should check that out. No more post-call surveys. Hallelujah. Who does them though? Come on, we're in the industry. If we're not doing them, then our customers really doing them? Okay. Here is a nice one from Marianne Withers. There will be huge change throughout the contact center, especially as frontline. And as Neris said, it will decrease by probably 50%. Also, people QA will probably disappear, as most will be done by AI. What we are hoping for is a beautifully entwined AI and people team. However, it is according to whether the companies get it right, and that is where the big problem is. They have not done it so far, so why are they going to change? And by the way, these high level, lovely critical thinking calls, there must be more coming on that, Marianne. But yeah, interesting. I wonder whether we will fully ever get to peopleless QA. That would worry me a little bit, because I do think you need to be able to interpret and think about the people involved that you might be giving the feedback to and where they're at and a context point of view. And will AI ever be able to pick up all of that? Who knows? Thank you. There is the article that you wrote, Danny, about the neutralization of Indian accents by teleperformance using AI. It is a fascinating area for sure. Okay. We have got time, I think, for a quick VT, and then, oh, wait a minute. Here's the other part of Marianne's comment. And by the way, these high level, lovely critical thinking calls, in reality, they are a lot of dissatisfaction and complaint calls, with our frontline people not having any respite anymore. I couldn't agree more. And that was my point around, are we curating their days to reflect the fact that they're going to be having highly emotive, highly complex calls? They can't just be one after another. Danny's looking after me here because he said there's also a cartoon linked in there too. Thank you, mate. That's for me. Neris says you could argue that with all the support advisors will be given through AI, the businesses justify not increasing their value and pay in line with it. I hadn't even thought about that, Neris. That would be a shame, I think, if we want to attract. Maybe though we can do this through they, just how long they're working. But I would hate to think that a motivator for people would be, well, they're getting lots more support, so let's just keep the pay the same, even though we're asking them to do more. Because it's going to be more taxing, isn't it? But very, very interesting again. Spencer, our plan to stop the Terminator from taking over call centers simple. Keep it on hold with smooth Chaz until it short circuits, and if it escalates, transfer it to accounts. No AI can survive that. Even at the event we were at last week, somebody mentioned Skynet. I think it was Bobby Aberdeen mentioned Skynet. I don't think you can talk about AI without mentioning Terminator or Skynet or Sarah Connor. Anyway, it is time for a VT. Okay, we are going through Contact Babel. Wonderful Steve Morrell behind that, but Contact Babel's UK contact center decision makers guide for 2025. And we are up to agent activity. So, of the 400 odd contact center leaders that they surveyed, this is the activity that their agents are currently undertaking. Now, if you think about the question that I've just asked you, how much of this do you think will change? The text around this image in the report, by the way, said that this is very similar to last year's. There hasn't been much change. You will probably be surprised, like me, to see that agents are still on 5% of their time on admin. However, headline is talk time makes up 50.6% of the agent's time. Nearly 15% is on email and web chat. Post call wrap up is still 11%. Idle time 8%. Training 6%. And other, other could be anything, couldn't it? But other makes up 4.4%. So what do we think of that? Okay, let me just catch up a few here. Also, are we helping to make people to become insular and not having actual human interaction? If all their interaction is with AI and not other people, I think customers will not appreciate that. And we have to respond to what customers want, Marianne, don't we? And I equally, in terms of managing teams, if you just say, look, your well-being's now being picked up solely by AI, that's not going to work. So we need humans all the way through this. Neris, it would be awful if their pay didn't increase in line with increased demand, but the supply of advisors will be higher than roles available. So ... Yes, very, very true. But I agree with that sentiment. Barry says, I think if AI brings improvement and change for our people as a business, we should be thinking about where and what our people can add value to. Just because we don't need them maybe doing the easy things doesn't mean they can't add value elsewhere in the business. So true. Barry, in response to this agent activity graphic, says post-call wrap-up should go. Email web chat should reduce in terms of what will happen in the future. Yes, post-call wrap-up should go if these things all happen, right, Barry? Alan says, Neris, the supply of people, yes, but when do we go away from shoving square pegs into round holes? That sounds like Tottenham's formation, Alan. So, any surprises here? Again, I always look at training and think, wouldn't it be good if there was just more time spent on training? And I imagine within training that is feedback, coaching, QA, everything. Um, oh, hi, Tracy. Tracy Newton is here. Post-call wrap-up can be managed with AI. And if agents are dealing with more complex calls, then I would like to see training increase. There you go. Same. Spencer says, are we discussing agent activity working from home post-pandemic, or are we talking about activity at the call center itself? This is taken from a cross-section of people in both those situations, and we will get to what is the current situation in terms of how many people are at home, how many people are coming back to the contact center. It has definitely shifted to people coming back, for sure. But this talks about the whole population, Spencer. And I imagine we will see very shortly the number of respondees to this survey who have their agents most definitely hybrid. Tracy says, sorry, as I was late, actually had my job to do. Watch the contact center duck. You've still got time. If you want to win one of these on the next show, I've got 3 to give away. The only proviso is that you've got to share a picture of where you put it. You just have to comment duck. Tracy. That's the kind of high level intellectual content that I share here. Do we have time for one more? I think we do. So we're now moving away from agent activity into the use of WFM. And WFM came up in terms of thinking about what might change. But if we have a look at use of workforce management systems by contact center size, the average is 54% use it. They have no plans to replace or upgrade it. A further 15% use it, and they are looking to replace. These next sections interest me. So 9% don't have it, but they will implement within 12 months. 5% of respondees don't have it and will implement after 12 months. And 17% on average, regardless of whether you're a large, medium, or small contact center, don't have it and don't plan on implementing it. Now, I imagine the majority of those are the 36% of small contact centers that do not use workforce management systems and they have no plans to implement it. Why do we think that's the case? Are these like really small, less than 10 people? So you don't really need a WFM system. I don't know. This surprised me that there's still a high percentage there of 30% on average who do not use workforce management systems and maybe are looking to implement it. They probably reply like that because they don't want people contacting them and selling to them. Training and idle time should merge. Just talking about agent activity from Neris. That's interesting. There needs to be some idle breathing space for sure, but systems to present quickfire coaching, training, and idle will become more prevalent. And I think people prefer that kind of bite-sized training, don't they? So, yeah, really good shout there, Neris. What do we think of this? Use of workforce management systems by contact center size. I thought it would be higher. Obviously, large contact centers, 81%. I've just seen Spencer's comment. Can you sign your name like Banksy using a Sharpie on the duck to turn it into an investment? Oh dear. Yeah, of course. But there will be there's no real investment unless I do something to make me infamous. That's the only way. That's not a plan, by the way. Thank you, Spencer. So if we have no more comments on that, let me just very quickly give you a quick update. Over £3,000 raised. So I just want to say a massive thank you. I think looking through the names of people that have commented here today. The majority of you have already donated, and it genuinely means a lot. It's a huge motivator for me. ActionAid are buzzing. They do wonderful work around the world, and you are all making a real difference with your donations that they get weekly. They don't have to wait till after the marathon. But 40, is it 40 days? I'll tell you now. It is, yeah, 40 days to go. And everyone will be relieved when it's over. Let me just catch up with Danny. Says, hit the nail on the head, Martin. Don't want to say we'll implement because they might feel they will be pitched to. Yeah, very, it is, isn't it? No, we're fine. Alan says, I think for a smaller contact center, it's difficult to justify the expense of a WFM system. What do you sacrifice to make it cost effective? I can't remember who it is, but is it Q Story? David Priest, sorry, and Nino, specifically aimed at smaller contact centers, and it's low cost and in the cloud. I might have that wrong, but it's worth checking out because it's a good point. And if you have someone that's doing it on Excel, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, Marianne, thank you. If you have a look at any of my videos, the link is always in there. I will be posting a video for my run later today, and the link's always in the comments. I will send it to you as well. Thank you, Marianne. Daniel, WFM is the heartbeat of an effective operation. It still baffles me that WFM is done, in inverted commas, on Excel in some large setups. Yeah, it's mind-boggling, isn't it? Neri says, exactly, Alan. Just use the free tools on Call Center Helper. And they do have some tools. I've used them when I was having to be responsible for rotors. I wasn't responsible for them for long. You can. I'll let you work out why. Okay, well, I've really enjoyed myself again. Thank you for all your comments. I will be taking this recording and turning it into a podcast, and it will also be on YouTube. Let me just check if there is a show next week. No show next week, because I will be doing the forums conference, but there will be one. Oh, look, on the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. That will be fun. We will do the duck draw on April Fools. So thank you all very much. Thanks for joining and stopping your normal day jobs to join in the chat. As always, you guys have been insightful. Have a lovely rest of the day. And I will see you not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. Bye-bye.